Hello there, History 131. I've got a brief 5-minute message on deadlines and you, and information about next week's Unfinal Exam. It's Friday of week 14. It's late in the afternoon. After I make this video, I'm going to head out to the back porch and enjoy some adult beverages and celebrate the end of our term. But I did want to get this message out to you. First, deadlines. You've been working on your Historians at Work assignments. They are due Sunday night at midnight, this coming Sunday night at midnight. You're also working on your final essay on the final assignment, and that is due next Tuesday at noon. Now, there have been a few of you I made alternate arrangements with due to circumstances in your life, but for most people that's due next Tuesday at noon. I've been enjoying reading your Historians at Work mini essays, and you know, we've been complaining and we're disappointed with quarter term and how it's not as good as face-to-face teaching, but I've learned some things, and something I've learned is that Historians at Work assignment really rocks, at least from a teacher's perspective. I'm going to make that not an option in future courses, but standard work, because it just looks to me like you guys are really learning when you complete those assignments. Alright, we have an Unfinal Exam next week. I wasn't going to give this to you until I read in a message to the faculty that we have to give you something to do in exam week. I'm not sure why that is, but okay. When they said that, I decided, alright, I'll go ahead and do what I usually do, which is give an Unfinal Exam. The Unfinal Exam is going to be posted to Moodle. You can take it Monday through Friday at any time you want to. And here's the thing. It's called an Unfinal Exam because it's not really a final exam, such as you're taking in other courses. It's not really a test of what you know. It's more of a test of how well this course has taught you what I want you to know. So it's more an examination of me and my course than it is an examination of you. What that means is you don't have to study for this. I don't want you to study. All you have to do is log on to Moodle next week, find the assignment there for exam week, and complete the Unfinal Exam. It will take you about 30 minutes. Now, exam won't make much sense at first, so I've got a couple of exam questions here as examples to give you a heads up for how to complete the assignment. Let's take a look. There will be 10 questions on this exam. It's called a History Assessment of Thinking, or HAT, because in a short answer space, you're going to demonstrate whether you have learned to think historically as I wanted you to in the course. So there are 10 questions on the exam about Howard Zinn and Jill Lepore, and here's the deal. 5 of the questions are statements that I consider to be reasonable statements that a historically informed person could make. 5 of the statements are dumb things people could say about Zinn and Lepore, meaning they're not historically informed and they don't know what they're talking about. Now, it's important to note that I'm not asking whether you agree or disagree with these statements. Somebody could make a historically informed judgment about these books and you might disagree with them, but it would still be a reasonable thing to say. So, what we're looking for here is out of the 10 statements on the test, can you identify the 5 statements that are unreasonable, stupid even? If you can, that's an indication to me that my course has taught you to distinguish sense from nonsense, which was the ultimate learning objective. So, here's an example of a question. Both Zinn and Lepore write themselves into their books. But this is a good quality to their histories, because history is not the objective story of what happened. History is an interpretive act reflecting the point of view of its author. Is that a reasonable thing to say about these histories, or an unreasonable thing? I'll give you a moment to think. I can't go for a walk because I'm recording a video right now. Alright, this is an unreasonable thing to say. As we learned in the first 2 weeks of our course, there is no such thing as objective accounts of the past. All accounts are influenced by who the historian is. How many times have you heard me say, if you want to know the history, first know the historian? It's inevitable that historians write themselves into their books. It can't be any other way. History is an interpretive act reflecting the point of view of its author. It's always going to be that way. So that's a reasonable statement. Now, when you're taking this test, if you believe the statement is reasonable, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to defend it. You won't be writing in the little box there. You just go to the next question. So let's go to our next question. The most convincing histories use photographs for evidence because photographs don't lie. For this reason, Zen's history is better than Lepore's because Zen's book has more photographs. Is that a reasonable thing to say? I'll give you a moment to think about it. All right. This statement is unreasonable. It's stupid. And for two reasons. First of all, it's just not true. I think all of you noticed that Zen's history didn't have a single photograph in it, whereas Lepore had a number. So the statement is just factually false. The person saying this doesn't know what they're talking about. But at a deeper reason, it's also false or unreasonable. Photographs lie. They lie all the time. You've learned that in my course and probably elsewhere. That's why we have to source things, is to sort of know how photographs or texts are manipulating the truth. So this statement is unreasonable for both of those reasons. One more example. Oh, and if you're taking the test and you judge this one to be unreasonable, you would write in the box why you think it's unreasonable. Jill Lepore teaches in the history department at Harvard University. Howard Zen never found a position in a history department. His appointments were in departments of political science. Therefore, these truths must be the better history. What do you think of this one? Well, if you learned what I wanted you to learn in my course, I would hope you would judge this to be an unreasonable statement. It doesn't matter what department a person is in. How good their history is depends on how well they practice the heuristics that I taught you in our course. Heuristics having to do with the ability to ask a good question or make good connections, to make good arguments, to tell good stories, to recognize limits to knowing, and so forth. You can do all of those things and be teaching in a department of political science. That has no bearing on the quality of the history. So that would be unreasonable, and you would write out an explanation why. Okay, so there's 3 examples of what this Unfinal Exam is going to give you. 10 statements, and your task will be to find the 5 unreasonable ones and explain why. Well, I can't end this course without saying how impressed I've been with how you've handled yourselves in a difficult situation. You've shown such great good cheer and self-discipline in the 7 weeks since we left campus and went to our respective homes. And some of you are probably thinking, I wasn't always self-disciplined. I didn't always have a good attitude. Yeah, well, that's true for all of us. It's certainly true for me too. But I just want you to know I'm very proud of how you have hung in there and for the work you've done in a difficult situation in this course. And I salute all of you. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on email or ask for a Google Meet meeting. And I hope I get to see all of you again. Bye-bye.